You got a toy in your hand. If we do this and call this pointless election rigged, the GOP will use every last word against us in protest to any potential 24 loss. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. I don't give a fuck about what Republicans say they're going to use. They will use anything they believe will work. They will flat out lie no matter what. The reason we talk about how the election was stolen is literally because that's what Trump's lied about. He said it regardless. It does not matter. They're going to say it anyways. It's sort of like the argument of, well, we need to vote for Biden because if we run Bernie Sanders, you'll call him a socialist. And then what did they do? They called Biden a socialist. They still call him a socialist. They say he's a fucking communist. Couldn't be further from it. It does not matter. I don't give a fuck what they have to say. They lie. They're lying. They're always going to lie. That's the only game plan they have, is to lie. So worrying about, if we point out the illegitimacy of this very illegitimate vote and all the things that led to this being incredibly illegitimate, that they're going to be like, see? Who cares? Because even if we didn't, they still would do that. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Yeah, I'm shocked at how stupid that was, too. He hates it when I kiss him. GOP's version of Biden is so much cooler than the real Biden. Absolutely. Joe Biden is for open borders. Fucking lit. Yeah, bring it on. Joe Biden wants to raise taxes on rich people? Yeah, let's do that. Joe Biden wants to pass single-payer health care. Uh-huh. Oh God, I'm furiously masturbating to this idea of Biden. What does it all mean? This is Eli, by the way. Do you notice if you mention the name Biden, your kid goes in some scary mode? Don't use that name too much. He's he's not entirely used to my bombasticity when I talk on stream, so he has a tendency of jumping like that. Also, you just kind of always look shocked. Don't you, buddy? Don't you? See? Biden got the independent vote, and he was polling higher than Bernie. You're wrong. The establishment does not hate the left wing. They just backed the polls they wanted to win. It's obvious. I can't believe I have to relitigate this bullshit. What happened one day before Super Tuesday? Explain it to me. Look at who was leading among delegate count the day before Super Tuesday, and what happened that day that might have caused some sort of change. I don't want to relive this BS. Obama got on the phone and got front runners to drop out. Absolutely. Joe Biden was third in delegate count before Super Tuesday. Pete Buttigieg had more delegates than him and dropped out a day before Super Tuesday to endorse Joe Biden. You don't see anything wrong there. I know what they did. Everyone backed Biden, but they did it for a reason. Biden was ahead in the polls versus Trump. Bernie was ahead in the polls against Trump too. Like pretty much everyone was ahead of Trump in the polls. What are you talking about? Why are you reliving? Why are we relitigating this bullshit? We know what happened. You're lying to yourself if you think that that was fair. You're absolutely lying to yourself. You need to you think the Amazon vote was reliable. You think the primary was reliable. You're just deluded. You don't like that when people call out things that go against your worldview. That's all. They coalesced to defeat Bernie, which means to defeat us. Stop caping for the establishment. Biden had a bigger lead and it barely held. Yeah, it barely held because he was a terrible candidate. He didn't have a bigger lead than Bernie. Bernie had more independent support. He had more support among Latino voters. Biden had the entire establishment and the majority of the older black vote. Even with centrist Voltron, it wasn't a guarantee for Biden until the lockdown hit due to COVID. Yeah. And I still hold that if Trump had a decent reaction to COVID, something that was far more effective and far more beneficial to more people, like if he had a okay reaction to it, like any sort of plan, he would have won because Biden was a terrible candidate. Just the worst. I'm not saying it was fair. I'm just saying they backed the horse they believed could beat Trump. Yeah, and why did they believe that? Because they kept saying it. What is propaganda? I don't understand. Yes. PR is a bitch, all I'm going to say. Well, I mean, there was, like, how many hit pieces were there about Bernie Sanders at the time by mainstream media? Completely expected, by the way. Completely expected. Like you literally had Chris Matthews saying that if Bernie Sanders won, he was going to be dragged out to Central Park and killed. You tell me that that was fair. That every news source that people were turning on, people were hearing about, how horrible Bernie Sanders was and how great Joe Biden was. Oh, Joe Biden is the only one who could have beat Trump. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. The reality is Hillary Clinton was the only one who could lose to Trump. And Biden would likely have lost too if, Trump didn't completely shit his bed with the COVID response. They had national polls. Did you look at the RCP average? You have to look at the RCP average if you're going to quote polls. How many pieces were sent out about Trump? Many. Probably just about as many as there were the ones kissing his ass that he would boost on his Twitter page. He never talked about all the negative shit he did. He never addressed it. He would just be like, look how great I'm doing. I'm doing so good. Trump shit the bed. Anyways, yeah. Independents just, no. What in the fuck are you talking about? Bernie Sanders had more independent support. He had more Republican support than Biden. Again, go back. Look at the RCP averages. Don't base everything off of, you saw N poll of like 20 people in Massachusetts. The fuck are you talking about? You're just lying now. You're just lying. It wasn't the COVID that defeated Trump. It was the mainstream media, their lies and their bias. No, it was COVID. It was 500,000 people dead. It kind of has an effect on people when, 500,000 people die because of something that you failed to respond to and you painted as not being a real threat to the country. Like, Golf, that's stupid. Don't. There's only so much stupidity I'm willing to allow in my chat. Yes, but you just basically blamed the Bernie loss on the news media and negative coverage, so it is okay for me to make the claim that Trump lost due to media's negative coverage of Trump. No, it's not fair, because Trump was president at the time and you could see the actual results of his policies. You can see 500,000 people dead. And actually, it's closer to 700,000, but you know, we underreport our deaths, and also Florida is fucking Florida and Georgia are changing their numbers behind the scenes. They're suppressing death numbers. Oh, and New York, and we'll go ahead and say it, New York and Michigan did too. There you go. There's your bipartisanship. Hey, look, both sides sucks, and they're both incredibly right-wing bullshit artists. Yay, cool. Hey. It's meaningless to point out the negative coverage about Trump. No one was saying that if Trump won, he was going to drag press personalities out to Central Park and murder them. No one was making that case. In fact, a lot of the coverage that Trump got in 2016 was largely positive. Or, look at this sideshow. He got so much free press. But Bernie has been in Congress for a while, has he not? Yes, but he hasn't been, he was never as high a profile as Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a household name because he hosted a reality TV show. This is a bad argument, dude. I was on RCP when I used to look at the polls. That is the site I use. Okay. Well, then you weren't reading them correctly. Biden couldn't have done it much different because COVID was too new. No vaccine, and Trump's measures were similar to almost every other country worldwide. I don't like liars in my chat. That is not inherently true at all. That's not even close to true. Trump had no response. Show me one other world leader who was going out and saying that this wasn't a threat, that people weren't dying, that it was only old people, that young people were virtually immune to it, that you could take a drug that has nothing to do with the actual treatment of the disease to treat the disease, that you could drink bleach to avoid getting the virus, which, by the way, people, of course, fucking did because the fucking president said it. Yeah, and guess what? How's the response in Brazil, Quentin? That couldn't be a better point to make. So Bernie should be void of criticism until he is in the White House. Doghouse, this is why you annoy me. This is an incredibly bad argument. What I am saying is that blaming the media coverage as the reason Bernie lost is way too simple of a take, that there is a much more in-depth take, as you have just done with Trump. Yeah, which is why I'm not inherently just blaming the media. Did you not hear what I said about how the party got together and coalesced around him? How the party created a narrative that only Biden could beat Trump? By the way, that establishment exists also in the media. The media is part of it. I did not blame it entirely on it. You're hearing only what you want to hear. This is why I'm getting so annoyed, because you're not actually listening. You're just trying to you're just being fucking a contrarian for no reason. You're just being contrarian. I don't blame Trump's loss all on the press. I don't blame Bernie's loss all on the press. Did they have some play in it? Sure. But there was a lot more work done in the press to harm Bernie Sanders than there was Trump. Bernie was getting no positive coverage. Trump was getting positive coverage on OAN. He was getting it on One America News. He was getting it on Fox News. He was even getting some positive press on CNN and MSNBC. So when you have somebody getting no positive press, including a major media figure saying that if he won, he would drag you out to Central Park and kill you, versus Trump, who was getting positive press from everywhere from, hey, look, I'm glad he bombed this country in the Middle East. You can weigh that. These are different things. I've agreed with you for the most part. I have some qualms with some of the contradictions that I don't think, because you're looking at it only in extremes. I am not all blaming anything. I'm talking about the majority of it. And I don't blame the majority of it on the press. I blame it on the establishment, which the press is a part of. Like, clean your ears out, okay? This is why I get frustrated with you. Because you start making arguments all straw men. Well, if you're saying this, but I never said this. Well, then you're saying, no, I didn't. I never once said that the reason was the singular reason. I even talked about the centrist Voltron that happened. Was that the press? No, it wasn't the fucking press. That was the establishment. That was the Democrats who made that choice. Did the press have an effect? Absolutely. Did they have an effect on Trump? Of course. But I think 500,000 people dead had more of an effect on Donald Trump losing than anything. Again, if he had a decent response to COVID, he would have won. We would be in the second term of Donald Trump right now, and we would be in fucking worse hell than we already are in. That's why I get annoyed. You're attacking straw men. You're not actually listening to what I'm saying. You're doing the keyboard warrior thing. You hear part of something, you interpret it, and then it's... Which is why you're writing books. Hey, Wilco, good to see you. This is why I get fucking annoyed, man. And the wall wouldn't be getting finished.
Told that the union is a bad thing.
When workers asked pro-union questions, managers came back to scan their badges. In an apparent effort to...
Everybody hear that? It was a fair election, guys. It was fair. What are you talking about? Oh, and Swisher, to answer your question, they could do what they used to do and send them to next of kin. Or we could allow the parents in also, because we have plenty of room in this country, and we're not exactly hurting for anything. Look up the population density of this country, and you'll see exactly why we can just, let them hang out here and work to the benefit of our society. Yes, we let them loose on American streets. That's exactly what we do. It's what we used to do. And you want to know what happened? 80% of them participated in pursuing legal documentation. They always checked in with the courts. They spent thousands of dollars in order to become naturalized citizens. And in the meantime, they got no benefits from the taxes that they were paying. They added more benefit to the society that they were in. Benefits that they often didn't see. And in return, they got to escape a country that threatened their lives because we just so happened to, start a coup in there. Because can't have somebody left-wing who's going to nationalize their resources and make it more difficult for us to exploit the shit out of them. Nah, can't do that. So, Swisher, there's your answer. Don't talk about them like they're all inherently criminals. And that there's no next of kin within the country. Like, we literally used to do that. Like I said, if we can't let the parents in, we let them off to the next of kin. which 90% of the time, that next of kin is waiting for them. But they can no longer wait at the border because they're worried about being deported or put in these camps. I personally do not have a problem with that, but no way I would agree to that political. The GOP would. Who gives a shit what? Let me show you a thing.
But if he did that, they would call him, say he was for open borders.
They already do. I don't care what they have to say. They lie. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. I don't give a fuck what Republicans say. They're gonna say it anyways because they're just liars. They're always going to lie. They're always going to call whoever is a Democrat a communist, socialist, Marxist, no matter what they actually believe and what policies they actually support. Biden is closer to Trump than any other Democrat who ran. And they were going to call him open borders, socialist, communist, no matter what, because that's their game plan. That's how they usually do it. That's how they always do it. They red scare no matter what. I don't give two fucks. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I don't give two fucks what Republicans have to say about any politician on the supposed left in this country. I do not care, because they're gonna do it anyways. If they can pull anything out of their ass, they're going to do it. The majority of the Republican Party believes that the Democrats are pedophiles. And then we keep finding pedophiles in their party. It doesn't matter. Stop talking about the Republicans and talk about the voters. Talk about what people want done. People want Medicare for all. Oh, but they're going to call him a communist. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? I do not give a shit what they have to say. I don't care what their propaganda networks have to say. And neither should you. The only people that care what they have to say are the people that already believe that. And because they already believe it, having that confirmation bias does nothing. Nothing. You want to see what happens when all of a sudden they start telling somewhat the truth? Look at the ratings on Fox News and how they went down after they reported that the election wasn't stolen. They don't care about the truth. They just want their confirmation bias. So why do we give two fucks what they have to say? Come back in your 10 minutes and explain that to me. Why it matters. Tell me why it matters what Republicans have to say when they're just going to lie anyways. And they're just going to say it anyways. I don't think I found anything on Biden that said he was for open borders.